Hey, this video is not financial advice. I'm just showing you what I'm doing with Anchor Protocol. It's not really a tutorial on how to use the tool or the platform either. I just I think there's not enough content out there showing what people are actually doing with these platforms. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Maybe it's interesting and educational for you. But Anchor Protocol is another app or DApp, decentralized platform from Terra Money, and it's like their savings platform, I guess. It's very unique, very interesting, and it's got one key value proposition that so far no one else has really been able to compete with. That's 20% interest as your savings account. Just recently, Compound, I think they launched like a 4% interest on their stable coin, and like Coinbase has some like, I don't know, 3% thing or whatever. And then here's Terra Money launching Anchor, and they've got a big fat 19.25% interest rate right now. I have $16,000 in there. This says my expected interest from these $16,000 over the next year is $3,000, and daily I'm expected to make $8.50 almost. Very, very cool. And I've been using this thing for a couple months now, and it just compounds like every 6 seconds. It's all compounding. The number just grows, and it's really, really cool. But the value doesn't really stop there. There's actually there's three things overall that you can do in Anchor. I do all of them. The second one is if you own Terra Luna, like if you own Luna, the token, LUNA, then you can deposit that as collateral inside of Anchor's borrowing module, and you can borrow against that collateral. So the way this works is I've deposited 3,500 Luna into Anchor, and I'm allowed to borrow up to 50% of the value of this Luna. The value of this Luna right now at the time of this recording is $25,000. I would technically be able to borrow up to 50% on that cash. The actual limit to borrow, I think, is 40%. It's because there was like a huge like Black Swan event that happened a month and a half ago, where it was cascading liquidations, and tons and tons of people lost a lot of their money. So if you look at Anchor's dashboard, you can see this is Anchor, and like the green line is people who deposit in the savings account, and the black line is the people who are borrowing. So in the beginning, this thing just launched like back in March, but in the beginning this was growing in tandem kind of, and then this Black Swan event happened back in May, where Bitcoin crashed and the entire market crashed with it. And you can see like Anchor earn, the savings account just took a little bit of a dip just because people were like removing their cash, but it wasn't that bad. However, total value locked for the borrow, there was $220 million dollars worth of collateral staked inside Anchor, like staked right here, this number totally. And due to a series of cascading liquidations where Luna's price went from like, I think $15 down to like $4 in the span of a week, everyone was either liquidated or they repaid their debt, and then the total value lock bottomed out at like 53 million. It was brutal. I think a lot of people lost their money, and a lot of it was because like there was just a stress test to Anchor system, and like they couldn't get in to close their positions, and the website was down. So it's, this is still early days. It's not, none of this is risk free. That's why you should only, if you do mess around with this stuff, like, they do have some insurance options here, or get insurance coverage that you may want to check out. But I haven't been using insurance yet. I've just been, playing around with the system as is. But what I do here is I borrow very conservatively. So I borrow only 25% loan to value, So I have the collateral of $25,000. I only borrow 25% of that, which is $6,000. If Luna goes down to the price of 350, then that means I'm going to get liquidated. That's when this would be breached here. So right now the price is $7. Got plenty of room, plenty of time. I keep a decent eye on this. And the reason why you want to borrow money is because this number right here. Usually when someone borrows money, like they get charged interest rates to borrow the money, and Anchor is no different. They charge you currently 17% APR to borrow money. However, they also pay you to borrow money. They pay you 123% of the amount you're borrowing. So if I'm borrowing $6,000 over the next year, I'm going to earn 123% of that in rewards just for borrowing. Yes, my interest rate is 16%, but I get paid 123% to do this thing. So my net is actually positive 106%. How cool is that? Why? What kind of weird Ponzi scheme is this? That's generally the question that people have. Essentially, this is not totally irregular. A lot of crypto projects do this when they're trying to bootstrap demand. But the goal of all projects is to get users onto the platform using their system. And the way you do that is to incentivize people to use each of the products. So it's easy to incentivize people to use the Anchor Earn because you're going to get 20% for doing nothing. However, incentivizing people to borrow, one way to do that is to pay them to borrow. So Anchor's got a certain amount of tokens set aside for the next several years, and people are going to be paid to borrow for a long, long time. And if you go to the Govern tab, you actually see the rewards that are accumulating in real time. So here's what I'm borrowing. Here's where you see 123%. And here in the past about 12 hours, you see I've earned $10 for borrowing. And that's paid out in Anchor tokens. And these you can claim anytime you want. I tend to claim these daily. Right now, I tend to claim them, and then I convert the Anchor tokens into Luna tokens just because I'm trying to accumulate Luna since it's gone down so much from its highs. But the Anchor price has taken quite a hit over the past few months, so I'm thinking that I might start actually holding on to some of these Anchor tokens here in the near term. So I expect that it's going to start bottoming here in the short term. So what's also interesting, if you noticed, I get charged 16.9% to borrow cash, and I get 19% to deposit cash. So what a lot of people are doing is they're borrowing the cash here, and they're depositing it into Earn, and they're basically canceling out their APR for borrowing, and they're just getting to keep this 123% APR completely. It's set up like this because I showed you the borrow differential. It's just too big right now. There's like 158 million in Anchor Earn, and just it's growing, but it's compared to Anchor Earn, there's only 172 million in the borrow. So this thing algorithmically adjusts to make it more compelling to borrow. Like, I think 3 weeks ago, this number was at close to 300%. That's when I started. And now that I think the borrows, the rate of borrow is starting to increase. People are starting to get more comfortable with borrowing again. People are done licking their wounds. Now, this APR is coming down. Like back in the good days, like I think back when this was like at this level, this number was closer to 40%. Which is still really, really good. You're still getting paid to borrow, but that's just what that was. So that's the two of the three ways, and the other way, I actually own some Anchor tokens. I own some Anchor tokens, about 1,400, and I'm providing liquidity for this. So liquidity is like You provide Anchor tokens and you provide the equivalent amount of stablecoin dollars. And this helps keep the protocol liquid. When people are trying to buy and sell their Anchor, you're the one that's helping facilitate that because you're providing an equal amount of both. And to do that, Anchor is paying you 44% to provide liquidity. So I'm like here in the past 12 hours, I've made about almost $4 so far. So this is pretty cool with this setup. I think I'm getting like $20 a day, cashing that out daily, converting it into Luna. My goal is just to accumulate Luna here until Luna gets to like the $10 range, and then I'll probably just change up my strategy, see what else makes sense. This is how I'm using Anchor. This is not financial advice, just sharing with you what I do and some of my thoughts around it. Hope you liked it.